The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to our webinar on career opportunities in the growing field of sport, presented by WP Professor Dr. David Hack. Before I introduce our presenter, I'd like to go over how this webinar will work. First of all, you should be able to see the presentation on your computer screen right now. You should also be able to hear the presentation through your computer's audio system. Please feel free to ask questions by typing them in. We are going to monitor your questions and we'll either stop occasionally or we'll answer all questions at the end. Thank you to those of you who've already sent questions in. We'll be getting to those today. And if we do run out of time, any questions that are not answered in today's webinar will be addressed after the webinar is completed, and we will send you your answers. So you'll have a chance to get as many questions as you have. So now I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Dr. David Hack is an assistant professor in the Department of Kinesiology. He came to William Paterson University just this year in 2019 with over 10 years of experience, including significant time spent as a professor, an athletic administrator, and college and youth baseball coach. In today's webinar, David will be discussing an overview of the career opportunities available throughout the broad and growing field of sport. The webinar will also highlight major trends and key issues facing the sport industry and will introduce William Paterson's new graduate concentration in sport administration, which will begin in the fall of 2019. And now I'd like to introduce David Hack, presenting career opportunities in the growing field of sport. David?
Thanks a lot, Sharon. I want to thank everyone for being here. I'm excited to talk to you today about our growing and exciting program here at William Paterson Sport Administration. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the program-specific things that we have going on here, as well as some of the challenges and exciting things that are happening in the sports industry itself. And so we'll kind of blend those two together, talk a little bit about employment, employment outlook, talk about how our program, I think, prepares students to face some of the challenges and deal with some of the evolution that's happening in the field of sport management and in the sport industry itself. All right, so first I thought I would introduce myself. As Sharon said, I'm an assistant professor here in the Department of Kinesiology. I teach primarily in the sport management program. I occasionally teach a kinesiology-specific class. My background, educationally speaking, I have a Bachelor of Arts in History from the Ohio State University. I have a Master of Science in Sport Management from the University of Southern Mississippi, and a PhD in Leisure Behavior and Sport Management from Indiana University. As my students would tell you, and if you would stop by my office in Whiteman, you would see I'm a crazy, obnoxious Ohio State alum and fan. My office is covered in scarlet and gray. I try to incorporate research into a lot of my courses, and some of the research that I do focuses on corporate sponsorship of amateur sporting properties. So as sport sponsorship has grown to be a significant financial factor in the sports industry, I spend a lot of time looking at why corporations are looking at sponsorship of what we would term amateur sports. So there's been a lot of research done, and a lot of people have looked at topics dealing with, why someone or why a corporation would choose to engage in a sponsorship partnership with the Yankees or with the Giants or with Rutgers, but a lot less work has looked at what has grown to a significant component in terms of corporations spending, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars to sponsor amateur sporting events. And so my research takes a look at that. I also am really interested in looking at the motivations for interaction with sport. So why individuals choose to be sports fans, why people choose to engage in the sports that they do, why they do so passionately. So I spend a little bit of time looking at that as well. In my personal life, I'm a huge sports enthusiast, so I played a lot of baseball, coached baseball, played a lot of competitive volleyball still. And I'm a huge sports tourist, and so the image here is of me and a friend of mine at the national championship game in 2014 when Ohio State beat Oregon. So I spend a lot of time traveling to sports facilities and sporting events and trying to pick up on what's happening out in the field and then incorporate that back into my classrooms. We're going to talk today mainly about challenges or issues that are facing the sports industry and how our curriculum and how our program here at William Paterson is preparing students to act as professionals in the sports industry moving forward. Just very quickly, I know we have some current students who are here at William Paterson right now tuning in today. So I wanted to just very briefly flash the undergraduate curriculum in sport management, which is still a relatively new major here at William Paterson. And so you'll see on the screen the list of courses which are the major courses that are required for the undergraduate major in sport management here at William Paterson. These, of course, are in addition to the university core curriculum, the UCC courses. In addition to the undergraduate major, we also have an undergraduate minor, which is a little bit less known or recognized on campus. And so students that are currently here at the university who may have room in their schedules before they get to their 120 hours may be interested in picking up a minor in sport management. So the courses that you see on your screen right now are the 6 courses that are required for an undergraduate minor. So it's 18 credit hours to minor in sport management. And so you'll see that list of courses. There are the 5 required courses and then 1 approved elective at the bottom there. And the 3 courses that are listed there, diversity in sport, negotiation, and professional selling, are some of the most popular courses that are selected for students to complete this minor. For those that are current students, I'd like to point out that half of this minor can actually be completed in an online format, as a number of these courses are offered online throughout the year. So if you have room or are interested, definitely consider this as a minor opportunity. The main thing that we're here to talk about today, though, deals with trends in sport industry, changes and evolution within the sport industry, and talking about how we're preparing William Paterson students and how our new graduate program in sport administration will prepare individual students to go out and deal with some of these challenges and hopefully be leaders and individuals who contribute to change in the sport field. So as I was preparing for today, I really looked at a number of readings and a bit of the literature that's out there regarding the change and evolution that's happened or happened recently or is in the process or predicted to happen in the future regarding the sports industry. And reading after reading, I kept coming across some of these same themes. And so I looked at, kind of drilling down and shaking out a list of what I thought were the 5 biggest themes, or the 5 that I kept seeing over and over again. And so the 5 that I sort of centered on to talk about today deal with women in sport, esports, fan attendance and engagement, mobile technology, and sports gambling. And so I'm going to briefly talk about these 5 trends, and later on we'll address a little bit how some of our coursework at William Paterson can prepare future professionals to tackle some of these issues if they are employed in the sports industry. The first deals with women in sport. And so, within the last 10 years or so, sports organizations and companies who are using sport to market their products have really noticed a change or an uptick in the interest of women in sport. And so this has really taken the center position for a lot of marketing surrounding sport. There are a number of organizations who are interested in raising the profile and raising interest and power of women in sport. You have the Women's Sports Foundation and an organization called Women in Sport, which are really trying to encourage professionals, particularly female professionals, to take an interest in leadership roles in sport and to further their studies in sport. Women's interest in sport is on the rise. Companies and corporations recognize this, and so they're spending a lot of time and money targeting that demographic. Women in leadership roles in sport are also on the rise. We're seeing a record number of athletic directors in a collegiate level that are women. We see the likes of Becky Hammond, who's an assistant basketball coach in the NBA, and many think will become the first woman to be an NBA head basketball coach. We've got Sarah Thomas, who's the first full-time NFL referee that's a female, and she was the first female to work an NFL playoff game this past playoff season. So this targeted growth has led to opportunities for marketing and for the growth of marketing positions focusing on women in sport. I know that my colleague, Dr. John Day, and I have really tried to encourage women to enroll in our program. Last year, I think I looked out at my sports ethics and law class, and we were discussing gender equity in Title IX that day, and there wasn't a female in the class. And so we said, this is a problem. We've got to encourage more women to be interested and want to come into our program, because we need to have their viewpoint, and we need to hear from them in terms of decision making and leadership decisions. So that's definitely one area that's changing drastically in the sports industry. Another area that's seen exponential growth recently is the evolution of esports. And so esports, just a couple of years ago, a number of colleges and universities elevated their esports clubs to varsity sports team status. And so we're seeing a number of colleges and universities now extending financial aid, and basically the equivalent of an athletic scholarship to members of their esports teams. Ohio State is actually building an esports arena that's dedicated to the study and design of esports programming, and we're seeing huge amounts of money pour in to sponsor and partner with the various esports leagues and opportunities. The Big Ten, for instance, sponsors a League of Legends league, and they actually broadcast some of their competitions on the Big Ten network, as well as do partnerships with YouTube and other similar broadcasting entities. And so we're seeing a huge amount of marketing and sponsorship dollars go into these types of leagues and opportunities. And so therefore, as that interest is growing, as the money is growing, there are more and more jobs becoming available. Third area that really has gotten a lot of attention over the last few years has been fan attendance and engagement. If you are a Major League Baseball fan, you're perhaps familiar with the fact that the Miami Marlins, or even to maybe a lesser extent, the Tampa Bay Rays, have taken a lot of heat for their lack of fan attendance. But attendance has been a problem for many sports leagues. If you look at NASCAR, for instance, you're seeing significant drops over the last 5 years in attendance at their sporting events. You're seeing places like Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan and Florida in college football struggle to fill their stadiums for certain games, which 10, 20 years ago seemed unheard of. And so because of this, a lot of institutions and organizations are putting a lot of money and time and effort into understanding what their fans want, what they're looking for, and how they can entice them to be more committed fans. Interestingly enough, a few years ago, I was asked to speak at a college in Ohio, and I was speaking specifically on the decline of fan attendance at sporting events. And in the context of that, of researching for that speech, I actually came across information that, pointed at something, at this as something bigger than just sports interest, but it pointed to, a generational shift. And so, I was reading the research on decline of attendance and committed attendance at things like church events and such. So this is a significant issue facing the sports industry, and you're starting to see more and more schools as well as professional teams invest in staffs who are designed to research and engage fans in a meaningful way that can hopefully build loyalty and build that standing desire to attend events. Obviously, mobile technology or technology in general has changed the field of sport management significantly. 5, 10 years ago, if you wanted to watch a Premier League game, you were out of luck. And yet now, a $5 a month, um, a $5 a month subscription to ESPN Plus will allow you sort of an unlimited amount of soccer, and not just soccer. So the way that we as sports fans are interacting with our sports, whether it be statistics or highlights, or in some cases, even broadcasting of games. The growth and evolution of mobile technology has drastically changed the way that our fans are interacting with sport. And so therefore, teams and organizations are looking for individuals who have experience in dealing with these types of technologies and employing them in the best ways possible to make those connections with fans and keep them interested, so that if they're not in the seats in the stadiums, they still remain committed consumers who are loyal to the team and will be willing to purchase products for the team, whether it be specific subscriptions, whether it be merchandise and apparel. But mobile technology is playing a significant role in a way that other technologies that have affected sport have never been able to do. Finally, the last area that I came across repeatedly was this push towards the legalization of sports gambling. And so certainly we've seen an uptick in gambling, in legalized gambling, as more and more states are coming on board with this idea that perhaps this needs to be a regulated part of the industry. And so sports gambling in New Jersey, since the point that it was legalized, has been huge. The state of New Jersey forecasts annual revenues of $25 million per year from their cut of the sports gambling pie. And some of the research that I was doing in preparation for today told me that in January alone, January of 2019, in New Jersey, there were $400 million in wagers placed on sporting events. And so therefore, a number of companies have emerged. Certainly FanDuel and DraftKings remain the leaders in the field, but a number of other companies are trying to emerge and grow, and they need the people to make that happen. And so, there are certainly a number of trends and opportunities that are changing the sports landscape. These are 5 that I focused on, but we probably could have talked for hours on trends that are changing the sports industry. These are the 5 that I chose to focus on. So, as with all of our programs here at William Paterson, we certainly hope that your preparation in the classroom leads to opportunities for employment and an opportunity for employment in doing something that you love. This was an interesting quote that I pulled from the Wall Street Journal. Matt Ferguson, the career builder CEO, said, "Sports is a major part of our culture and a key economic driver in cities nationwide. The growth in sports-related jobs since 2010 is notably higher than that of the national average for all jobs, indicating a greater investment in one of America's favorite pastimes." We are seeing what we refer to as the commodification of sport. And what that means is what we're seeing is sport become business at nearly every level. There was a time when we talked about the business of sport, and most likely we're talking about professional sport. But we're seeing sport as big business at every level, ranging from the professional sports teams all the way down to youth sports teams. You're seeing cities across the U.S. build youth sports complexes that are designed to spark youth sports tourism. In fact, there was an HBO Real Sports segment that I show in one of my classes, one of my undergraduate classes, when we're talking about sport tourism. It says sport tourism is an $8 billion a year industry. And we're certainly seeing growth at every level. And because of that, we're seeing growth in employment at every level. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics tells us that the average earnings for occupation is $62,080, whereas the average income for individuals between 25 and 54 for all occupations is $47,268. And so that tells us that sports organizations are willing to pay a premium for highly trained, highly effective individuals. Since 2010, we've seen 8.6% growth for employment in teams, sports teams and clubs, a huge amount of growth In sport marketing, 30% growth there. Agents and managers, 17% growth. Event planners and managers, 40% growth. And even in the recreational side of sport, we've seen a 15% growth since 2010. So there are jobs out there. There are a lot of jobs out there, and a lot of them pay very well for those individuals who are properly trained and effective at what they do. So Jason Belzer, a contributor to Forbes, says, for years the power in the hiring process rested with the employer due to economic circumstances. However, we are now seeing a dramatic shift in searches towards candidate-driven processes. While the sports industry is as competitive as ever, more so now than in recent past, candidates have greater mobility, better internal promotion ability, and countless employer options, as many organizations in the industry are expanding workforces at a higher rate. And this is certainly true, and it's what I've seen to be true in my counseling of undergraduate students in the past here at William Paterson. There are just a tremendous number of opportunities out there. We take a very broad-based approach here at William Paterson in preparing students. So we have students who come to us and say, I want to be a college athletic director down the road, or I want to be an agent. And so we certainly in our undergraduate curriculum try to introduce students to a variety of opportunities that you could work in sport, because there are just a seemingly never-ending amount of opportunities out there, and you seem to be growing by the day. So one of the things that we really place a premium on here within the Department of Kinesiology at William Paterson is preparing our students to be successful in the careers that they get. So one of the ways we do that is through course preparation. In course preparation within our undergraduate program, we incorporate a lot of case studies. We incorporate as much real-world opportunities as we can because we want our students to deal with and think about problems and issues they're going to be confronted with in the field. We try to put a lot of emphasis on experiential learning. So for several semesters now, I've run an experiential learning class where we have focused on experiential learning opportunities with the likes of the Big Ten tournament. So in the bottom right corner, you'll see two of our students on the court at Madison Square Garden for the 2018 Big Ten men's basketball tournament. We had 12 students who worked that as part of a course. We also made opportunities to engage with individuals from the Super Bowl last year. And this coming fall, we'll have students working at the New York City Marathon, and those opportunities are rolled into coursework. So students are receiving credit, but also getting the opportunity. We encourage volunteer opportunities whenever we can. Those are certainly how our students build the resumes and networking. We offer a number of networking and resume building opportunities each year. In the top right, you'll see Dr. Bay and I with a number of our William Paterson students at a sport management conference at St. Mary University. So we certainly try to push these types of opportunities. And then internships. Our program incorporates the internship and forces, I won't say forces, but sometimes it feels like that, students to go out and work within the field in order to gain experience, in order to build a network, in order to get the hands-on learning that we feel is very important here at William Paterson. So why are we doing this? Well, I can tell you why I do this. I'm a first-generation college student. My father has had the same job since he was 18 years old, graduated high school. He worked in a factory and has his whole life. And it's been a good life. He created a good life for our family. But I never got the feeling that he loved, that alarm clock going off at 4:25 every morning and heading out to work. And so I made the decision that I was going to get a job that I loved. And I found out through my undergraduate experience that was working in sport. And the reality is that a lot of people have the desire to work in sport. There are a tremendous amount of opportunities with a highly competitive market as well. In preparation for today, I did a search and found 5,188 sport-related jobs within 25 miles of Wayne, New Jersey. Because of our location and access to New York City and their sporting opportunities, we have a tremendous amount of job opportunities here in our immediate area. Most of these jobs require an undergraduate degree, but what we're starting to see within the field is the quote, bachelor's required, master's preferred. Because these jobs are highly competitive, because there's a tremendous amount of interest in working in the sports industry, many organizations are starting to use that graduate degree and training as sort of the dividing line between applicants that they're considering and applicants that they're no longer considering. And so with recognizing those trends, we here at William Paterson have designed our new Master of Science in Exercise and Sports Study concentration in sport administration. And so this new degree program is currently enrolling students for the fall of 2019.
David, I'm sorry, David. Sometimes your microphone is cutting in and out a little bit. I don't know.
Okay, I'll try to make sure that I'm staying closer.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So this 36-hour program is designed to be flexible. We understand that students with bachelor's degrees may already be in the field. Many students or past students or graduates of other programs may be working in jobs that do not allow them the flexibility for the traditional student experience. And so certainly within our industry, a lot of what you're going to do at work is not happening 9 to 5. And so because of that, we have designed this 36-hour program with flexibility and tried to place the student's interest at the center. So this is a 36-hour program that incorporates 10 courses, and those courses are listed here. And then in the final bullet point, you'll see where it says choose one. And it says exercise science 7700, which is internship, or 7800, which is thesis. So your last 6 hours of our program are going to be earned either through engaging in an internship related to where you want to work in the future, or designing and executing thesis research with a faculty sponsor. Another hallmark of this program is that most of these courses are offered in a fully online format. As I mentioned, we were trying to think about student flexibility. So most of these courses are offered in an online format. It is our hope that very shortly the entire program will be offered in an online format. Additionally, you have the option to enroll in the full-time program, which is at the graduate level, 9 credit hours per semester, 3 courses, in which you can complete the entire program in 4 semesters, fall, spring, summer, and fall. Or you have the option to enroll as a part-time graduate student, which is 6 credit hours per semester, which allows you to complete the program in 6 semesters or 2 calendar years, 2 falls, 2 springs, and 2 summers. So we're very excited about this program. We've seen a lot of interest, and we feel like there's a significant need here in the state of New Jersey, as well as in the metro area of New York, for a program such as this that allows for flexibility. So we're very excited in the fall to roll this program out. With that being said, that's what I've prepared for you, and so I'll turn it back over to Sharon.
Okay, we do have several questions that came in, so if anybody has any more, please type them in as we're doing these questions. The first question was about a copy of this presentation. David, we can give a PDF of this to everybody, right? So
yes, absolutely.
So we'll send everybody a PDF of this so you can see the courses that you'll need if you do the program, and also the careers that are available. We've also been recording this, and it'll be on our YouTube channel, the alumni YouTube channel. I'll send everybody the link to that as well. Okay, the next question is, somebody wanted to know, what is the recommended undergrad major for this type of work?
So the interesting thing about the field of sport is that you see individuals from all over the map come into this program. So for instance, I have a Bachelor of Arts in History. So we actually, there's no stated program requirements, and there are no prerequisites in terms of specific courses or programs, I should say. Of course, there are prerequisites. And one of those prerequisites is having a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution. But we have talked to students from all over the map, whether it be more sport-focused backgrounds like athletic training, students who have an undergraduate degree in sport management or exercise science. We've also talked with students from programs like history, like business, like computer science. So there really is no specific program that's required to enroll in this program. The requirements deal with things like your undergraduate GPA, the fact that you have a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution, getting the appropriate documentation in. But certainly students from all over, from various programs, can be successful within this program.
Yeah, also, it seems like some of the things are event marketing for, so if you're a marketing major or something, that would be good too, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Marketing is a huge part of what we do in sport management because it seems like everyone's selling something.
Yeah, exactly. This other student kind of is the same way. This is a poli-sci major and wants to know the steps to applying to the program. So basically, with a bachelor's degree in poli-sci, you can just apply to the program as per it is on the website, or
Absolutely. So I'll just run down very quickly um, the, excuse me, the program requirements. So there's an online application, an application fee. That fee is waived for William Paterson undergraduate students. You must have a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution, a minimum GPA of 2.75 out of a 4.0, a personal essay, your official academic transcripts. Again, William Paterson students aren't required to send those because the institution's already in possession of those. And then 2 professional letters of recommendation that speak to your academic ability and your aptitude for a career in the sports industry.
one person wants to know if there's any, I know this is kind of the same question, but is there anything you recommend if someone is an undergraduate right now, what focus they should go to if they want to go into this graduate program? Is there anything?
So we have I would say, if you're planning on continuing in your undergraduate major, if you have the opportunity to consider minoring, because we offer the 18 credit hour minor, that could give you sort of a little bit of a taste of what we offer within the program, or get you sort of oriented to the study of the sports industry. We have a lot of students who have a business or marketing or event planning background, and so perhaps you don't have time for a minor, but maybe you could take a couple of courses in those areas that would allow you to investigate sort of the business side of things.
Okay. These next 2 questions are about the online, and I know you talked about it, but one person actually is a graduate of the sport management program here in 2015, but right now lives in Maryland. I know you said that some courses are available online, and will all courses will all courses eventually be available online?
So yes, currently, basically 7 of so if you consider thesis and internship to be a course, quote unquote, what we have basically, you have 12 courses because you have two semesters of enrollment for internship or thesis. So 36 hours, 12 3-hour courses is how it breaks down. So as of now, 9 of the 12 courses are fully online. And so a student could certainly start year 1 and be a part-time student and do 6 credit hours each semester online. It is our hope and intention to offer the program fully online moving forward after year 1. I can't make that guarantee, but I will tell you that we're aware of the interest in that, and we're working behind the scenes to make that happen.
Okay. And then another follow-up, as far as the thesis or the internship, if you lived, say, in Maryland, would you be able to do your internship in Maryland?
Yes, absolutely. So we have students who have interned all over in the undergraduate program. We've had students in New York City, which obviously is closed. We've had students in Philadelphia. I recently had a student work at the Cal Ripken Experience in Myrtle Beach. So yes, we absolutely encourage. There's a process that happens as far as a contract um, uh, with the hosting organization, but we absolutely encourage our students to go. We also have a student in, I believe, South Dakota working with Daktronics, which is like a scoreboard and signage company. So we encourage our students to complete their internships wherever they feel like it's going to help them, move their career forward.
Oh, okay, great. This person wants to know if you're still eligible, if you have a master's degree and you're looking to switch careers. Also, would you possibly take credits from another master's degree?
So we absolutely would encourage students to look at the program if they're interested in switching careers. For a long time, sport management and sport administration have really only been around as a field of study since the late 70s, early 80s. And so we are sort of what some people call a discovery major. People, find out about us through word of mouth and then say, hey, I think I'm interested in that. So we definitely would encourage you to investigate that interest. Questions regarding specific coursework and how it might transfer into the institution would be left to the graduate program coordinator, which in the kinesiology department is Dr. Michael Figueroa. And so, we'll definitely, I would encourage that individual to email me, and I will forward that information on to Dr. Figueroa, and we can have him evaluate what may be able to come in and what may be able to count towards this degree. As an institutional rule, I believe William Paterson allows up to 6 credit hours from outside to count towards the program.
From an outside master's, is that what you said?
For instance, if they wanted to transfer in from another institution, I know that we would accept up to 6 hours towards our masters. They would, of course, have to be courses that would fall in line. So, but for instance, many master's programs incorporate some sort of introduction to research or research methods and design course. And so certainly we would look to see what within our program might be able to be counted from those other programs.
Okay. Question. If you're applying to this program, do you specifically say which area you want to go into, or is it like, would you say women's sport, or would you say online gambling, whatever? Would you say the area you want to go to and specialize in that with this program? And also,
So,
when do you have to have applications in by?
I'll answer the second part first. We review applications on a rolling basis. Certainly, the sooner the better. But one of the things about our program being flexible is, we will accept students into the program in any semester. So we consider applications for fall, spring, and summer. And certainly, we would encourage students who might be interested to apply as soon as possible, if it's possible to get things rolling for the fall. Speaking to the specific area that you may be interested in studying, the graduate level program will take a broad approach to the field of sport. However, if you're interested in focusing on one specific area, one of the things that we encourage is the parts of the program where you have the most say. For instance, areas that you are interested in researching, or so within all of my graduate courses, for instance, we have a major research project that goes along with each course. And I encourage students who may be interested in coaching, for instance, to focus their research and readings on coaching. So I would say if you have an interest about a specific area of the industry, you would want to talk with your instructors, talk with your advisor about how you can tailor your approach. And certainly, if you have a specific interest and you choose to write a thesis or work, or even if you choose to do an internship, then I would focus that effort on the area of sport that you think you're most interested in.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any more questions coming in right now. So if you have any, while we're giving our little goodbye speech, you can type them in now. But we want to say, thank you for attending this. If you do have any information, Dr. Hack's information is right here. If you want to inquire anything about the program, if you're interested in the program or any careers that the program would prepare you for, Dr. Hack, we want to thank you for doing this presentation for everybody. And as we said, you will be getting a PDF of this, and it's also on our YouTube channel. And here comes another question. Regarding the internship, can the students seek an internship of their choice, or does the university provide the internship?
No, the student seeks the internship of their choice. We will place students if we ever have a student who's unsure what they want to do. We'll help them out, but we typically encourage the student to investigate and find an internship site that they really will be passionate about and really be interested in. But we do have a number of connections, of course, within the area and within the industry for if students, need some guidance or, want to investigate an area that maybe they're not sure about, or maybe they don't have the connections for it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I don't see any more. So thank you, David, for doing this. Everyone, I hope you found this very interesting. At the end of the webinar, you'll get a little survey if you feel like filling it out, just four or five short questions. And if you have any further questions that you didn't have a chance to type in, or if that you think about afterwards, type them in, and I'm sure David will be happy to answer any questions that come in. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So thank you, David, for doing this, and thank you all for attending.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yep, and we will see you at another webinar maybe. Thanks a lot, everybody, and take care. Bye.